Yeah, hi all. It's March 2023 and thought I'd do a quick video on the Beetle and specifically the engine. So yeah, what I did is I basically took everything off the engine about 2 weeks ago, I suppose, that sort of that amount of time. Took literally everything off, just leaving me the block. And actually had to take the block off the gearbox as well and lower it down in order to be able to remove the lower pulley, which is just there to get the piece of tinware on, which is behind it. So in the end, the whole thing had to come out. But then once I had it out, I took the lower pulley off using the puller and then put the block back in and then basically reassembled the engine back in. So what I've done is you can sort of see by how shiny it was, and hopefully you can see in the previous photographs I put up how sort of bad looking it was. So I'm basically just got everything powder coated. So yeah, turn down powder coaters in Dorset for all this stuff. Well, most of the stuff I should say. So everything black they've done. They've also done the heat exchangers underneath, which is the early heat exchangers, which are quite a complex unit, both sides in a dark grey. So they look really, really nice. And then you'll see down here, boom. So yeah, I've got rid of the single quiet pack, you know, the bug pack exhaust from it, which is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Happy days and all that. It's just that this is the look I want. The I kind of always go for these shark fin tips on the Beetles I've had. So this is just the look I like. That's all. Plus for me as well, the bug pack was slightly too low on the ground on the right hand side. Every time I reversed out the driveway, literally every single time, it would just catch the tip of the tailpipe on the sort of brow of the road. And after a while, that, you know, it gets a little tad bit annoying. So I thought, you know what, put the ones on at once. So I managed to get myself a new old stock exhaust, which is hidden underneath their brand new, the old stock. And these come from air cooled accessories, which arrived today. They're about £65 a pair delivered, and they're literally solid aluminium, obviously polished. So you have to keep up on top of the polishing, you know, aspect if you keep the car out. But obviously this car generally stays dry, so they should be pretty good. And obviously I've mounted them to the original two brand new stainless steel tailpipes underneath there, so they're absolutely sorted. Engine looks lovely. So this engine here isn't the original one for the car. The original one would normally be a 6-volt one with a fixed alternator, so dynamo stand here, 30 horsepower. This one is a 1960 engine, so it's a little bit later, but still got all the early bits on it effectively. But it runs really nice, and you know, and the fact it's 12 volts as well is absolutely a bonus. So yeah, I've gone over all the wiring, sort of heat shrinked, or tried to make it look as neat as possible. Obviously I'd rather have an alternator which has the built-in regulator, of course, but then again, that's more money to spend, you know, when there's absolutely nothing wrong with this one. And I know that the engine and battery charge is absolutely mint with this and that device up there, which is the external regulator. Got all this painted as well, so I just topped it up with a brand new oil in there. I had to get the top here actually painted black, so it's actually painted rather than powder coated, because that part there includes like the sort of gauze horsehair style filter on top, so you can't run that through the powder coating and sandblasting process, basically, they were saying. Carburetor runs absolutely spot on. Inlet manifold here, I painted that two-tone in different types of heat paint, and what I did on there is I had to take the whole thing off, obviously, to replace it, to get it off anyway, and replace the gaskets and stuff. But I then had to drill a hole through here and a hole through the other side as well, in order to be able to drill through and drill all the carbon out, because it's literally rock solid with carbon in between there. And I'm able to do it by drilling one hole and going through, but this was absolutely solid. So even using my sort of, you know, the long piece that goes all the way through to the end, it just wasn't doing it until I did it from both sides. And then I just used a metal filler putty at the end here just to reseal the hole carefully, so that the airflow still obviously flows around it. So that should mean basically now that the car will run better in cold temperatures, because in theory the inlet manifold will then warm up faster because it's not blocked. I've positioned this thing here as well. This is a throttle return spring here. That was around the wrong way for some reason before, so that's now the correct way around, just there. That all operates lovely down there against 12 volts. Choke on it now as well. Not too fussed about the coil, but it works and it runs perfectly, so I'm leaving that as it is until it breaks. Got the new HT leads on that I put on when I got the car. Electrical condition inside there as well, which seems to run spot on. And now I've removed the gauges from the dashboard area. I've got the standard oil pressure switch here as well, with a little bit of a fancy wire that I just put on. But yes, it looks, I mean, I haven't cleaned all my fingerprints off it yet, but believe me, underneath that, those fingerprints and smears and marks is absolutely pristine. The powder coating job that they've done is absolutely lovely, because powder coating just goes on so thick that ultimately they blast it, and then basically it fills all the pitting which you get on all these old components. But yeah, it looks really nice. And so I ran it today just to start up in the driveway. Yeah, it runs absolutely beautiful. And there's the beautiful wheels there. Cool. And there we go. Yeah, thanks all for watching, and hope you found it slightly interesting. And yes, all the best. Nice one. Cheers.